How you doing? This is Coffee Break with Jimmy, and we want to talk about the state of California selling off the bullet train. Now, maybe I shouldn't put it that way, but they're looking for investors, whether they're local investors, here from the States, or foreign investors from other countries. They're looking for investors to finish paying off the train, the bullet train. Does that mean that the taxpayers of the state of California isn't going to own it anymore? I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know what it means that they're looking for investors. I don't know why they're looking for investors. The bullet train has already gotten up to $128 billion for a project that was only supposed to last, that's only supposed to cost $33 billion. And but apparently they're looking for other investors. I don't know if Gavin Newsom is the one that's pushing this, or I don't. It has to be Gavin Newsom in his administration here because he's still the governor. So I guess he's looking for other investors. I guess Gavin Newsom and our assembly, our Senate here, and our lobbyists here in the state of California, I guess they line their pockets up pretty well, to where they're pretty much, got what they're going to get, and so the bullet train's not going to be complete unless they have other investors. What I would submit to you, I would think maybe an investor like Elon Musk, someone who has the money, and he has the wherewithal to get it built because he is a builder of sorts, right? I would think he would be someone that would be someone along those lines. Elon Musk and maybe some others would invest in this, and it would at least be owned by someone that lives here in the United States. Someone that's local, instead of selling it to someone who lives in China. But anyway, that's pretty much where it's going. And Gavin Newsom, now that he's really wanting to run for president in 28. So now he's starting to kind of lean toward the socialist end of the Democrat Party. The far left, he's going further and further left. And the Democrat Party, pretty much the socialist end of the Democrat Party is pretty much the Gen Zers. It's the younger crowd that doesn't really know what's going on in our history. We've talked about this in the past. And they really don't know the history of it. But if you're talking about a socialist country and how socialism doesn't work, we could talk about socialism and communism, how well they're connected, and Cuba. Cuba, they're not doing well at all. Okay, not at all. Their money is worth nothing there. In fact, Venezuela was the one that was actually carrying Cuba. Maduro was carrying Cuba and keeping them alive, so to speak. And but now that Maduro's in jail here in the United States because we arrested him, now Venezuela's doing better, but they're not helping Cuba anymore. So Cuba's out there by themselves now. So Cuba really needs, and they will need, the help from the United States to get that country back on track. Trading, they have things that they can do there in Cuba. And I know one of their biggest imports was tobacco, for Cuban cigars, and they do have a little bit of oil there in Cuba. I think they could produce about 30% of what they need, so they have to buy the rest of it. And I don't know exactly what Cuba has other than cigars. I really don't know what they have for trade, but I know the United States could help them out, and I know there are a lot of Cuban refugees here in the United States. We're looking at our Secretary of State. Marco Rubio. His parents were refugees from Cuba. Now, Marco Rubio was born here, but his parents came from Cuba, and so and look at him. Look at where he's at. And Cuba has got, and they probably have some things to offer, but I just don't know what. Okay. But they'll need the help from the United States. They're in our hemisphere. So we'd want to help them get better and get in better shape. But the Castros have got to go. And Castro's I guess it's Juan Castro, Fidel Castro's brother. He's the one that's in charge right now. And I don't know, he's in his 90s. I don't even know if he's still alive or barely alive. but the Castros are still running Cuba. So things are going to have to change there. But I submit to all you Gen Zers, look at what's going on in Cuba. Look what happened in Venezuela. This is socialism, which is borderline communism. Okay? And that's what it is. Look at James Carville. I mean, he's about as big a Democrat that I've ever seen. And he always talks trash about Trump, and he talks trash about the Republican Party. But now he's saying, these Democrats, socialists, these that are trying to destroy the far left part of the Democrat Party, he said they're a bunch of effing idiots. This is Carville. This is coming from Carville. And if he's going to talk bad about the Democrat Party, there has to be something that's bad there on this socialist end of the Democrat Party. And there's a lot of other Democrats. I mean, we're talking about Manchin, who's not in Congress, or he was a senator, but he's an independent toward the end. He changed his affiliation from Democrat to independent because of the socialist end of the Democrat Party. And there's a lot of other senators and congressmen and women that are actually pretty disgusted with the Democrat Party because they're allowing this socialism to come in and exist on the far left end of the Democrat Party. Now, you have to understand. I mean, this all was Bernie Sanders and of course the squad. OAC and Ilhan Omar, who's really not even a U.S. She may be a U.S. Citizen now, but she might have already applied for that. I'm not too sure, but she is from Somalia, and she I don't know, there was billions of dollars of fraud that was happening in Somalia, not Somalia, but in Minnesota, the Somalian community that she represents. Now, I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know if she's going to get in some trouble over that. I think she should, if in fact she did some wrong there as far as the fraud goes. But those are all socialists. Now, were there primary in some of the candidates running for the House of Representatives, and there's a couple of them. That's Al Saeed. It's running for Senate in Michigan, and these are all Democrats, socialists, okay, and they're trying to get their foothold into Congress. We can't let that happen. Now, it'll probably happen in some of those deep blue cities and the deep blue states, but they're going up against other Democrats. And this is what James Carville's so upset about. He goes, why don't you go up against Republicans? Not against, well, they will if they win the primaries. But they're going up against other Democrats. They're not going against the Republicans. And so that's what's happening. And eventually, if you let them in now, and we've talked about this over and over again, they'll take over. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to go underneath the radar to where nobody can see it, even though they're out in the open. But all this stuff's been going on for a lot of years, and we have to stop it, okay? Because it doesn't do us any good. I mean, at least when we had, some. I look at Fetterman. Fetterman is totally against this. He's saying it's destroying the Democrat Party, and he's a Democrat. So let's follow his lead. The Democrats here, follow his lead, and don't vote for these socialists. Don't allow them into our Congress, in the House of Representatives or the Senate. We have to stop. We have to stop it now. And again, I'll say it again. We have to vote in the Save America Act. We have to vote that in. And I know combined with this, this FISA court ruling that Trump has got to sign. He's got to sign for this to be available. And as long as if he'll sign that in, as long as they pass the Save America Act. And so that's something to look at. I don't think it's over with. I think it can still be done before the midterms. And the midterms, it's all predicated on what happens also in Iran, which Trump is finally coming back and he's dropping bombs on Iran again, because I knew they weren't gonna work with him. This memorandum of understanding, I knew that wasn't going to work. And but Trump is trying everything short of sending our men and women into battle there in Iran. So he's trying to do it the right way, and I can understand that. But we'll have to wait and see where that goes. So anyway, let's hope the bullet train gets some investors here, some local investors here from the United States instead of foreign investors. We don't need people from other countries to own anything else. I know China's bought land, and other countries have bought land here in the United States around farmland and around military bases. That shouldn't be happening. You know, this has happened in the past, and we don't need to sell them the bullet train here in the state of California. Okay, we need to own that, or get somebody else here locally that'll buy it and invest in. So we'll see where that goes. Anyway, so this is Coffee Break with Jimmy. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like and share, and we'll see you next time on Coffee Break with Jimmy. Thanks.